My name is Tony Hill. I'm going to read two poems from a chapbook that Dreich has produced. It contains 20 of my poems and it's called Chet Baker in Belgium. There's very little of my poetry that's ever been published. After listening to the next two poems, you may be eternally grateful for that fact. The first poem is called Tank, and it's for Norman Holmes, a friend of mine who one day helped me fix the water tank in the loft immediately above my head. As we descended, as I turned out the light and I'm about to lift the latch to close up the loft, it suddenly occurred to me how often we do that, how often we consign to endless night inanimate objects, never giving them a second thought. Tank. If I had known that day would be my last, of open sky, of different weathers, that darkness when it came would not just be night, I would have folded away more stars than one into my black lock to keep me company under the rafters, where I squat above your heads, a hard water plant listening to a mineral clock as it calcifies. Sometimes I replay that summer in my head, how the clouds came and went like thoughts in my mind's eye, how open I was to the world, how brick-dust might pollinate the room from time to time and settle on my skin like freckles, until a summer storm washed away the shame and I felt clean again. And if I say that spring, I heard the creak of every bud opening in the rain, and knew the several agonies of coming into being, how would you judge my sense of loss, slow and partial, as evening gave way to endless night, as the roofer, with a spider's tack, moved slate by slate across my shuttered sky? Does summer always end this way, with wear and tear, the light particulate and dissembling like a swarm of bees, a blackbird's song stretching beyond its means one evening? I only hear or sense the seasons now. A granular light means the house is cowed by snow. In summer, in a suffocating nest, I brood for days on standing heat and wait for the sound of rain and the gutter's libation. I have such gravitas about me now, and watch a light bulb outlive its pallor, while spiders build clocks to orchestrate my time, until you come again, as I know you will, if only to bring some measure of hope that the gods have not abandoned me, to replay that summer in my mind's eye, how the clouds came and went like thoughts. The second poem is called Heat at Noon, and what I attempted to do, principally through the imagery, was to convey that sense of suffering under the yoke of oppressive heat, something I don't find easy. Heat at noon. In slatted belfries, the bells are still, getting fatter in the bovine heat. There's a thesis to be written yet on the longueur of a day like this, midsummer, Sunday, all the drought of expectation being brought to bear. It may never happen until it does. Behind the clapboard panels, even the bees are dozing, this being noon and nowhere in particular. The bells hang in a stupor of creation, and Sunday proceeds at its own pace, down the street, along the boulevard, in a room where blinds are drawn, where air that was dead before you were born is still in use. The lawns are dying of shame, like everything else under the sun, and the clock buries its face in its hands, stopped forever, and since time began. Unending noon, both here and there, in the olive grove, where the cicadas are incendiary enough to fan the air into flames, igniting their own pyres. Noon, in the blinding piazza, where a shadow, claiming to be her own, is about to disappear, leaving you alone to face the blasphemous heat of the square, while your shadow hides beneath a stone, crabwise, waiting for time to make a move. Noon here and now and beyond the grave. You, who once knew 4 ways to sunset, brought to this dead air in a pointless room, brooding on rain that refuses to come, the heat murderous, a mother eating her young and still in heat, destined to do the same again, while the heat remains incestuous. In the belfry, the air is as thick as meat. The bells have had their tongues cut out, You would move, but there's nowhere left to go, and nothing to report except the heat, which follows you around like a dog being sick in every room. The heat is sick of us. To make it worse, the fan is feeding heat with flames, which fed knows only hunger for more, a dry and famished desire that can never be sated, the Ouroboros consuming its own flesh over and over as noon, and the heat devours us. Thank you.